Hello and welcome to The Real Hernando, presented to you by Wesley Meadows Retirement Community and produced by SRP Studios Podcasting. This podcast spotlights Hernando, Mississippi's businesses, organizations, and community leaders. A heartfelt thank you to all of our incredible sponsors who make this journey possible. Visit the sponsors tab at therealhernando.com where you'll find clickable logos for each sponsor. Simply click a logo to be directed straight to their website. We encourage you to support these businesses and show them some love. Again, follow us at therealhernando.com for all channels and social media platforms. Now, a word from Wesley Meadows Retirement Community. Each day at Wesley Meadows is a new opportunity to serve older adults and reimagine retirement living. It is the heart of their mission that inspires their team to provide the kind of fun atmosphere and care residents would want for themselves. Experience the warm spirit and faith-based difference of Wesley Meadows. Call 662-429-2070 and schedule your visit today. Welcome back. I am Derek Michaud, along with co-host Lauren McClendon. Today we are spotlighting Cotillion Social. Their mission is to empower local youth through a transformative Cotillion experience that fosters emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and respectful social interaction.
By blending traditional etiquette with modern social emotional learning, they aim to cultivate confident, compassionate, and socially responsible young individuals who are prepared to thrive in diverse environments and form meaningful relationships.
And joining us today are Meagan Qualls and Macy Forsythe. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having us. Yeah, we're excited.
Good to having you here. And
yes, welcome.
And the word thrive in diverse environments. I mean, what better timing?
Works out perfect, right?
What better? What are the odds, right? To the audio only people, my T-shirt says "Thrive" in the front. So, well, welcome to the show, Macy and Meagan. To those watching on the screen, Macy is on the left bottom, and Meagan's on the right bottom there. And Lauren's in the top right, and I'm the knucklehead in the top left. So yeah, we're here to talk Cotillion, something definitely new to me. Cotillion's, I want to get it right. Cotillion Social is the name of that. So many questions. And let's get started with you, Meagan. Tell us, because you are you're the CEO of Mid-South Integrative Medical, and the founder of Cotillion Social. So let's hear more about Cotillion Social on a broad view from you first.
Sure. So really excited to be able to bring this to the youth in our community. There was many different things that kind of led to the creation, and I've been a part of Cotillions in the past. I've experienced similar programs growing up. I grew up in Southern Louisiana, and so we had Mardi Gras balls, and those were our little debutante balls, and so it was a little different. In the presentation, there was more focus on dance, and with initial presentation rather than what we're looking to achieve with this program today. But I've kind of always grown up, in somewhat of these circles and seen as a business professional how it has helped me in my experiences. So I've actually taught business etiquette since I was 2010. I lectured for another company, and I've taught it as the owner of Mid-South Integrative. We've been a business serving the DeSoto County area for the last 18 years. So we have mentored many different individuals from different walks within healthcare. We're currently partnered with 10 different schools. 5 local and 10 online programs to help teach and educate different, like I said, different disciplines, different healthcare disciplines. So I've been in that educational role for a while. This is first to be specific for just middle schoolers. So I am very excited about that. I'm excited about that and then all the challenges that come with entertaining and keeping a middle schooler engaged, and why do you care? I can explain to an adult logically, rationally, and bring the why, but how do you motivate a child? So very excited about that. We're going to talk about how it can help them in their relationships, how they can diffuse difficult situations. You should never underestimate having a good command of the English language and all of what can be achieved with that alone. So we'll teach them some communication skills. We'll teach them about how to recognize, certain emotions and navigate those feelings. I remember being in middle school and, you're coming into these hormones and trying to navigate, and how do we best, how do we present our best self? So lots of different challenges in today's society that our youth are encountering that I didn't have to experience growing up. So I'm hoping to help them navigate those challenges with the current resources that are available to them, not just the kids, but parents as well. So, most parents we find fall in line with our Christian-based values, and they want these things for our kids. We want to be great parents. There's no manual on parenting. So how do we help the parents and give the parents some resources to help them be the best, version of themselves for their children as well?
Being a father of a senior in high school, I have now experienced the gamut of the different grade levels and emotions and personalities and drama. Ooh, yeah.
Boy or girl?
Girl.
Oh, yeah.
see what everyone does. They're like, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. And it was not without excitement. I'll be honest with you. But before we really start digging in now, Macy, let's bring you in on the show. You are the marketing director of Mid-South Integrative Medical and on the board of directors, I believe, correct, for the Cotillion Social?
Yes, sir.
All right. So welcome to the show. Tell us a little more about your role in the Cotillion Social.
Yes. So if you heard Meagan speak, she's all about the vision. She has a really, really massive vision. And that's what I learned when I started with her last year with the clinic. And she brought me on board and kind of gave me this vision of, hey, I really want to do this in the community. This is why. Here's what I have. And so she has the brains of it all. And I feel like I'm the person who can put it together and do the community and the social events and be out there, because with her working for the medical clinic, patients always come first. So she's not necessarily always able to get out in the community. So I'm the person that's putting it all together, helping alongside her. Obviously, she navigates it all and just kind of tells me her vision. And then I'm the person that kind of makes it beautiful and tries to come together and bring it to life in the community for people to believe in it and know what it's about and all the things. And I love the community. I'm very active in the community with the chambers, and I love everything that has to do with being proud of where we're from. So thankfully I built connections along the way. And so we partnered with some really great people, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without the opportunity of her giving me this opportunity. So that's what my role is of it all.
Very cool. Well, Lauren, I know you're probably chomping at the bit to talk about this. So I'm going to throw it to you now, please.
Sure.
You're going to have better questions than me and on this matter. So feel free to jump in.
Absolutely. Well, I know when Derek had mentioned Cotillion Social, I was like, I haven't heard the word cotillion probably in 10 years. I know when I was in high school, I think it was my freshman year of high school, my parents sent me to like etiquette classes, and we did the whole conversation at a dining table, the proper forks and dancing. And they even did like our seasons, like with the color matching. I do not follow that at all, but it was a whole thing about kind of like what you're saying, just how do you carry yourself through the world? And I think at that point in time, so I'll totally date myself here, that was early 2000s, right? And so social media, I had a MySpace at the time, right? But we had no idea what it was going to be, right? So the idea of how do you conduct yourself online wasn't even anything people were thinking about, let alone trying to come up with a good method to teach middle schoolers. And that's kind of the pivotal time where everybody wants to have a phone. I feel like at around that age, they're chomping at the bit to get a phone and then set up social medias and the whole landscape out there that's a little terrifying. And the internet's forever when you put stuff out there. So that's honestly what I was most excited about, is like cotillion, what an old word that I hadn't thought of in a long time. And how do we bring that into the current year? And that's really what I want to hear about, because that sounds exciting to me.
Okay. So before I delve into the technology aspect, I do want to give Miss Macy some props because I'm so very thankful that God put us together. She, without having formal training, Miss Macy is the embodiment of everything cotillion. So what is the goal? Like we want to teach these kids how to interact with the world around them. How do you foster these therapeutic relationships? And a lot of it is about being genuine, having confidence, knowing who you are, knowing yourself, and just projecting that and just being genuine and genuinely having a good heart and trying to help folks. And she just absolutely was built for this role. So I just wanted to say how thankful I am for her because she's fabulous and she was made for this.
You need leaders pouring into you though to believe in yourself more than you, or believe in you more than you believe in yourself. So that's you. So
takes all kinds to make the world go round. So talk about that. We're going to talk about how, you might not use all of these skills all the time because learning, how to stand up and sit down and eat a meal properly is not necessarily something that's going to serve their best interest when they're hanging out with their buddies, chowing on hamburgers, hanging out on their futons, whatever. So, but you need to have the skills in your back pocket because there's going to be a time and a place one day when you come across somebody that you're going to want to impress, be it, a friend's parent or a boss or, what have you, or just, maybe a significant other. And you need to have these skills in order to be able to thrive in all settings. When is it more appropriate to use these things versus not? When is, speaking a certain way and carrying yourself a certain way not going to benefit you, in different social settings? So teaching them how to read other individuals, how to be, it's called emotional intelligence, it's self-awareness. These are concepts that we're going to be teaching when we take this social emotional learning aspect to our program. So not just about, relations, but online. We're talking about online. Okay, it's called netiquette. Netiquette's actually a word. I didn't know it was a word until we started learning, all about what we're wanting to do. And you hit the nail on the head. You said, when you put something out online, it's there. It's there forever. So, there are people that have understood the fact that we are in this information age. And while we do experience censorship now, censorship is going to grow, and it's going to grow not in a good way, in a way that you're going to be limited from your resources and information, not from, what's we're exposed to, not from what we put out on the internet. So,
Yeah, I can speak on the internet side of things. Again, going back, I'll be using my daughter as an example here, but yeah, I would say 7th grade, her and some friends, if you will, got into this huge Snapchat text quarrel, right? So screenshots everywhere. So parents were, it got to the point where parents had to be brought in. It was a nightmare. And these kids should not have been saying these things even in person, but to the what you call netiquette, kids out there, if anything you send on a text is forever, and that makes bullying worse. It's just not good for anyone. It's not healthy. And I'm trying not to make it sound like don't text so you don't get in trouble. I'm not trying to say that. But, look ahead, and when you are in business and you think you're having fun emailing a coworker something that might be inappropriate.
Yeah. I think that was like some of the best advice I got. It was actually from an internal legal counsel at a company I worked for. And she was like, dance like no one's watching, email like it's going to be read in a deposition.
It's a great one.
I like that.
We'll use that because that's a good tip.
Yeah.
They text like grandma's watching.
Yes.
Real quick, goodness, I hate that it took this long for me to bring this up, but we have some classes we want to promote as well, correct?
Oh, sure.
So Macy, you had sent me a graphic with some classes in October and November.
Yes.
So we got October 19th introduction to dance, October 26th, speech and emotional intelligence. I'm just breezing over this right now. We can go in more detail. November 2nd, 50s theme dinner and dance night. Nice. And November 9th, parents' night, family photo night. And on all those nights, they're all Sundays from 5 to 6 p.m. You have your 5th and 6th graders. And then 7 to 8 p.m., your 7th and 8th graders. I like what you did there with the numbers. You matched them up. I don't know if that was by design.
Unintentionally. Yeah.
It's perfect. Easier for me to read. But and then I want you to have an opportunity to thank all the sponsors. There's a pile of sponsors on this graphic too. I'll let you all express that, but I wanted to put that on the front end, and I'll make sure, everyone watching and listening, more information in the description. So
We
yeah.
not be here without our sponsors. So one of the goals was not just to build up the youth and encourage the parents and arm the parents with resources, but community. Our businesses are our foundation. I love our community. We have so many local owned businesses, and I really want to continue to foster that and encourage the importance of supporting your local community. So we have community businesses that have sponsored scholarships for the children. Children have written essays to be eligible for those scholarships. We're voting online for these adorable essays that these kiddos have written to help bring ownership and value and desire. Do you want to talk more about the actual events and sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just go through the list of sponsors because, again, we wouldn't have been able to do this without them, and they have been unbelievably incredible, and they have just some cool stuff in store for the kids who get to attend afterward as well. But I'll just go off the list and read off of that if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. So we have McConnell Curb Appeal, Tanger Outlets in South Haven, Mid-South Integrative Aesthetics, Big Note Music Lessons, Natalie Beard Realty with Remax Realty, Chick-fil-A South Haven, Mid-South Integrative Chiropractic, Thrivent, which is Thrivent Financial, and Mid-South Integrative Medical. We are beyond grateful for them, and so just thank you to those.
A special shout out to my buddy Manny at Big Note Music Lessons.
He's great.
That's my normal studio, not Zoom, is located in his school. So,
that's awesome. Well, I'll add this for the listeners because he told me, he gave me full permission that I can do this. And one of the things that he's given away for the kids who attend is their first lesson being free for them to come on board. So that is just another thing that our sponsors are doing. They have really great gifts to give out as well. But that was one thing that he gave me permission to say. So I was like, that is an incredible gift. I would love, like, if my kid was old enough, I would make him attend just for that. So, but yeah, with the class layout, we have really, really fun things in store. And I'm saying that from an age of like, I want to be entertained. I don't want to sit there, listen to somebody speak for an hour straight and not have interaction. So every night it's going to be different. The first night is obviously introductions, getting to know everybody, shaking hands, eye contact, the basic things that you need to know on a daily basis in life. And then people getting to partner up. We're going to pair up the boys and girls in lines, and they're going to have to partner. So we don't have a guest speaker on that night. The second night, and then the third night and fourth night, we will all have guest speakers. So the second night, we have an incredible speaker. She's an author, host, and she also is a business owner. She's incredible. She speaks on emotional intelligence. Her name is Elizabeth Casano. So if you know her, you know that she's incredible. So she's coming to speak to the students. But on top of that, we'll be talking about speech and emotional intelligence and integrating some practices within that. And then the third night, we'll have the dinner night and dance night, which is also 50s themed. So that will be really, really fun, tied in together. I don't think I mentioned it, but the girls will have these gloves. So those will be available for the parents to be able to purchase if they don't already have those. So it'll be really fun dressed up night, but that one will include dinner, so they'll learn dinner etiquette. And then we'll also have a guest speaker, which if you don't know her, she's amazing too. We have just incredible speakers lined up, but Pam Pegram, she's also an author, a podcaster, mom, business owner, all the things. She's great too. And then on the fourth night, we have Sheriff Tuggle coming to speak with the families and interact with the families, which that one's incredible because if you know him, there's not really an introduction needed there. But he's really great with family, community, and all about the community. So we thought it was a perfect tie-in because we will also be having a family photographer come in. He is I mean, I wish I had a picture right here to show you. Maybe we can tie it in the show notes. I don't know, but he's incredible. Tonal Plaxico. He is the best of the best, one of the best photographers, if not the best. And he is coming to take family portraits, complimentary. It comes with the ticket of the families just in time for Christmas cards. So we have really great things lined up. And that, I mean, I could go on, but just kind of shorten it. That's the lineup of what we have. And then afterwards, we have an after event. Any of the families are able to attend and sign up complimentary again to do Dickens on the Squares to showcase the kids' skills afterward in Hernando. And we're so thankful that the city of Hernando allows us to do that. So great things.
I've been fortunate to kind of work with Sheriff Tuggle a handful of times. He's been in my studio a few times on different podcasts. I do work with the Hope Center. He does a lot of speaking for the Hope Center. All about the youth, all about it. And rightfully, he sees the youth as the future in the sense of like, let's teach them now while they're young to then foster good adults.
That's why he was perfect for it. He was absolutely perfect. And then, of course, he was willing the second he heard about it because he cares so much about the youth and community. So we're beyond excited for that. We were hoping that the families, when they saw that it would instantly be like a no-brainer with that too. Yeah. But everybody we have is incredible. So we're grateful. And
imagine how busy he must be, but he always, when it comes to kids, he finds the time. You know, he does stuff for Palmer Home for Children, all kinds of good stuff. But okay, so we can kind of revisit classes too, and again, more all the information, the website link, everything you need is in the description. But let's talk homeschooling, right? Lauren, you had mentioned that you were homeschooled, correct?
I was. Seventh grade on, yeah.
And when before we started recording, that came up, Macy, that sparked your interest because, that's a huge element to the Cotillion side of things because, they're not getting that social interaction, right? So, Lauren, speak on what your experience was like as a homeschooled student.
Anyone that knows me knows I'm very, very introverted. I have my nose in a book all the time. I'm an engineer. A lot of people know that. And so that's where I wanted to spend my time when I was in seventh grade. It was just like study, 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 and not interact with people. And so by the time, like I said, early high school is when my parents were like, we're going to send you off to some etiquette class. I played like rec league sports and a couple other things that helped with that. But it's so different, like just the day-to-day interactions. And especially, this was decades ago now, 20 years ago, there wasn't as much of a homeschool community. I feel like it's become more mainstream now. And there's a lot of families in Hernando that I know that homeschool, and it's kids of all ages. I honestly, I don't have kids of my own, but I can't imagine being with like a 5-year-old and putting in the effort to like teach them how to read and all those things. Like that's phenomenal. The parents that do that. But the ages I was at with it, that's formative years. Like you ladies had mentioned, like you have hormones going on. There's a lot of changes. You're thinking about your future, and it's the perfect time to kind of teach those skills that may not come into play until those kids are interviewing for jobs, or like you mentioned, like significant other, like meeting the parents or going to a formal dinner. I know there's a lot of conferences I've been to where there's like formal dinners, and some people, they don't know how to behave, if I'm being honest about it. And the emotional intelligence side of things, Meagan and Macy, you both mentioned that. And in the modern world, especially as a business owner, like y'all get it. Emotional intelligence, it's not super easy to come by, and it's become like the most valuable currency to have. It's easy to get a degree and have intelligence, like the traditional IQ, but emotional intelligence, you can build that up every day, but so many people don't spend the time on it. So I love that y'all mentioned that, because I think really that's kind of what my parents were getting after, is that side of things. They're like, well, you're smart, you got that figured out, but the emotional, the soft skills, they're not soft, but that's what they're traditionally called, the soft skills on things. So what's the ratio with homeschool children versus others that participate?
Unattended? Um, Probably about quarter to a third.
Yeah, I told them we had a good bulk of homeschool students, which I was really excited about.
That's solid, yeah.
It's a good amount. It's a good amount proportion from private schools to homeschools to public schools, which was our goal, was to integrate everybody, not just one singular group. So, and that was my vision from the start. So,
Different academic programs are going to have the ability to emphasize different things within their curriculum. I feel like they all are very open and appreciative to have someone providing a program like what we're putting on to help bridge some of the gaps, because specifically the public schools, I mean, they are so strapped for time and financially. I mean, public schools and homeschooling as well. Like you said, taking on teaching a 5-year-old how to read. I can't imagine that challenge just as an individual. And then you got to turn around and turn that hat and your mom and your teacher and your tutor and all the things. So you absolutely also said something else very true. Our homeschool programs are so much more developed now, and these kids do have lots of opportunities. They are mostly, revolving around different extracurriculars and different forms of academia, but I haven't found one specifically that focused on this emotional learning. How do I regulate my emotions? How do I choose my words wisely? How do I, learn how to step back and, what am I going to text? What am I going to say? Think that forward thinking of what are some of the consequences of these actions that I just feel and I want to, respond to this id, the ID. And not teaching the children, or teaching the children not to give into those emotions, and to how do we think critically, logically, with forward thinking. So that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about. One of our speakers specifically is going to help them to gauge and learn where they are in that spectrum. How do they respond better to certain types of communication? Learning how to interact with other individuals that are going to respond more therapeutically to different types of verbiage. Some people are more direct and they need that direct communication to understand clearly what you're trying to convey to them. And others need those kid gloves. How do you enunciate and how do you articulate yourself in a way to get your point across without hurting feelings, but to ultimately get what you want? What do we want? And that's kind of my thoughts to entice these children. Why do you care? Why should they even bother with this? Is they all want to get what they want. And how do you achieve those goals? How do you achieve, the goals that you might have for your future? How do you achieve, getting your way during certain individual conversations? So that's the pitch is, So how do you talk mom and dad into what you really want and bring good reasoning behind it?
I like that. That will get their attention for sure. Because going back to your classes and having speakers come in, well, that's great for the kids to hear the adult point of view of someone that's gone through this experience with Cotillion or a version of it, and they can speak on how it helped them through business and interviews and creating a career, right? Is that part of the message there?
Yeah, I know it helped me a lot, and it's exciting to hear, especially starting at the ages that you guys are kind of targeting with this. That's phenomenal. Working on, disfluences, I'm bad about it even when I'm speaking, and remaining like confident in yourself. Authenticity, like it ripples through everything that y'all are saying. Like y'all are authentically yourselves and you're so different, but you recognize the power in what each of you bring to the table with this organization. So that's phenomenal. And teaching, that generation that being themselves is important. They're valuable for the skills they have. And like you said, how do you navigate that? With a lot of my peers, we talk about like this mountain that we're all climbing. Not to say that we're all trying to get to the same goal exactly, but we're all trying to like pull each other up and like help those that are alongside us. And then we're reaching up to those that are ahead of us, our mentors. And we're all in this together. Like this human experience, it takes a village to raise a child, but it just takes a village to exist. And one of the things I love about Hernando, we're a community, we're a village, and so many people show up as solid villagers. And that's what's needed to have it work. So this is a great way to build that network. A lot of folks I know, they grew up in Hernando, and having the parents come into these events as well, that's phenomenal community building too, because they'll be there for years to come, you know? So they're building their own network there.
Appreciating the individual, absolutely, you know, and like you said, you know, uniqueness and understanding who you are and having ownership and value, knowing what you stand for, but at the same time also teaching that utilitarianism. You know, you cannot stand on your own. Life is better with friends. You know, there's this concept that a lot of the kids are exposed to now of your truth, right? And I don't feel like there is your truth. Truth is truth. There's one truth, right? And when you have different interpretations of what you feel is the truth, then that's how we are led astray. You have your opinion, right? You have your own perception, but the truth doesn't change. So your perception, your opinion, you are absolutely allowed to have those. So express yourself freely, creatively, explore that, you know, delve into it, but understand at the same time that we are all in this. You know, we all have a purpose. We all have value. And what is that individual's value? Like you said, you know, Macy has her strengths. I have mine. And together we have, you know, created a fabulous program that is going to help to not just the children and to help them become better students, better friends, better, you know, one day parents, better spouses and community members, and enter into this workforce and hopefully elevate the overall workforce. Hernando, I love our community. I love where it is right now. And it is growing at a rapid rate. So you mentioned these new individuals coming in. So I want to create grounding in the individuals that are here currently. Hernando is set for an influx of 30,000 individuals over the next 5 years. I think it is the next 3 to 5 years. We can expect a profound influx of other individuals. So without having these leaders in our community, then you know we stand at a great risk for losing a lot of the moral fortitude and the values that you get from having a small, protected, quality group of individuals. So that's part of our goals too. So we're pulling from other similar programs that are building individuals up, like the what's the Charlie Kirk's program? Charlie Kirk. What's Charlie Kirk's program?
Turning Point.
Yes. So a lot of the leadership skills and, you know, foundational skills that, you know, Turning Point teaches its children. Now, there's a time and a place for a political discussion. Firmly believe that. The time and the place is not at the Cotillion dinner table. All right. So we will not be imparting political beliefs on our kiddos. That needs to happen at home. How do mom and dad navigate these conversations? How are they inspired? So part of our program at the end of each event, kids are going home, you know, with these worksheets, and it's not just for the kiddos, but the parents too. You know, these are websites that are acceptable. These are Christian-based social media. You know, this is the foundation of each of these individual platforms. This is what you need to be aware of. This is what you need to look out for. How do you navigate the conversation of after the kid is, you know, we've all commenced our days, mom and dad are exhausted from work, you know, kids have had their, you know, frustrating, exhausting learning day at school. How do we come together at the dinner table at the end of the day and have these conversations? Because you need to check in. You can't just let the, you know, devices, it's so easy to let the devices do the parenting. The kid is pacified, exhausted, and that's not enough. So we need to be engaging. We need to have engagement and conversations and meaningful discussions with kiddos. So we've got lots of great resources how to on what the children should be doing with their time. The devices, I feel like, are not going away, right? It's a train, not stopping it. So how do you navigate it? How do you provide them with resources so that they understand this is a tool that can be building you up, or it's a distraction that can be tearing you down and ultimately setting you up for failure later on in life. So helping them to navigate that decision making, you know, what am I doing? Am I rock thinking? Am I forward thinking?
I heard a very specific lesson in there. Kids, you need to learn right time, right place to talk politics, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a subcategory among many categories, right? But I'd like to hit on eye contact. Excuse me. I heard you mention it earlier. I'm awful at it. Don't know why. And in the world of trying to network with other business owners, referrals, going to BNI. It's the handshake, it's engagement, and that eye contact is important. Talk about some of the kids that you see that struggle with that, and why you think it is that some just struggle with eye contact, and then how important it is to work on that.
Confidence is one factor, and experience, making them practice those certain skill sets. So when mom and dad are talking, they need to be practicing that eye contact with mom and dad. But what I think the reason why a lot of children struggle, especially nowadays, is because of this ADHD brain. So a lot of our advertisement, a lot of our television are all triggering this 20 seconds, 20 seconds. 20 seconds. And that's the stimuli. That's what we're training our brains to take in. So the ADHD brain actually takes in much more detail than a traditional thinking brain. ADHD hunters, like my male hunters, are fabulous hunters because they'll pick up on a leaf flicker, before a regular brain will. And that's how we're training our children now, is to think in that ADHD format. So when you're talking to somebody, it's hard to carry on a conversation and enunciate that fluid thought when you are taking in information, looking at that person and reading into, oh, their hair is funky, and wonder where they got that shirt, and why are they making that face, and man, they smell funny. So to cut down on some of that input, some of that sensory input, one of the coping mechanisms that children and adults will use is diverting their eyes. So teaching them how to retrain certain parts of their brain to be able to carry out the fluidity of thought. There's a time when you will make that eye contact, so you're technically meeting that social parameter of, I've made eye contact with you, I recognize you as important, you are valuable to me, but then I need to get my thought out. So we'll divert our eyes to carry out the rest of our thought, and when that thought is nearly done, you regain that eye contact.
Yeah. Sometimes I struggle with eye contact because it feels intense. Is that a common aspect to that?
I think that's the key to me. I feel like I'm pretty decent at eye contact, but what Meagan's saying is I'll divert, come back, divert, come back, divert. But it's because, it's like, for me, I'm 29, so I don't know what generation I'm in. I don't know. I get confused because it's like,
you're a cusper. You're on the edge of millennial. And
I was 1996. I'm like, that could be two different ones. I don't know. But I did grow up in the social media age, but I still grew up in a time where it was right before social media started as well. So I got the two fold of it, but that's caused me to have some of those issues of like, man, this is awkward, thinking everything is awkward. So it's like it's awkward. It's awkward. And that's what I've noticed in the youth, is everything's awkward to them. It feels awkward. It doesn't feel natural. And so that's personally my thought process of it when going through the eye contact situation.
Yeah. And also, we've all experienced this when you're talking to someone and you're trying not to look at their hair. You're trying to engage with them in like a social networking situation, but the person you're talking to is not giving it back at all. And you can see them looking over your shoulder because they want to talk to the person back on the other side of the room. So they're just scouting the room and scanning, and they're not listening to you, So then there's another lesson there is you're the one trying to engage, but the other person isn't receiving it or giving it back. That can be frustrating as well,
So how do you re-engage that person? How do you?
I move their face. I just take their face
right
in front of me. Listen to me.
Smart. So,
I don't know if I'm good. I feel like sometimes I might like just, okay, I'm getting out what I'm trying to say, and the conversation kind of just fizzles.
You want to regain their attention. He who asks the questions controls the conversation.
Okay.
People love to talk about themselves. People love to feel like they're an authority on a situation. So finding a way to, how do you re-engage that person into that conversation and navigate? You ask them questions. Another way of trying to prevent because sometimes we are that person where we are looking around and scouting, and you've got an agenda and that mind is going 90 to nothing. It's to pick a point and to focus on that particular point on that person's face. So usually it's right here on the nose or right here by the forehead. And most people can't tell when you're staring at that one point in their forehead versus actually looking at them in their eyes. So there's many different tactics and things that we can do.
I like that. I like that. It will. I would gather looking at the forehead is less intense than that eye contact, but you're giving the person speaking that engagement.
Absolutely.
I like that. I just see. I just took
a lot of tips gained from the Cotillion the schedule that we have. A lot of tips.
Look, even a 47-year-old people can take an etiquette class. So I'm part of Cotillion now, everybody.
So I'm curious about with phone etiquette. I don't know if this is something that even gets covered anymore anywhere, but it bothers me in the corporate world, especially my younger colleagues, where they're so accustomed to caller ID, having the name pop up. They don't say their name, don't say their, like if they're leaving a voicemail, they don't say their name, don't say their phone number, don't say really the purpose of the call. It's just call me back. And that's it. And how I was taught is say your name, phone number slowly, what you're calling about, and then reiterate, again, I'm Lauren, I'm with XYZ company, and there's my number again. It's like there's that side of phone etiquette, and then there's the other side that's like more pervasive, I guess, where the kids are just like this, and like not giving anything because they're so looking on the screen. Is that something that y'all, either end of that, either how you talk on the phone or how you engage with the world while holding a device?
So telecommunication is a form of communication that I feel like the kids are more comfortable with. There's a lot less, they're not worried about judgment. They're not worried about being put on the spot. There's that stress that comes with the, face-to-face interaction. So we're going to hope to disengage a lot of those stressors by actually putting them in those social situations and making them communicate face-to-face, because the telecommunication is easy. It's less intense and on their own terms. So yeah, absolutely. There's a time and a place when it's not appropriate to be even physically touching your phone. When you physically sit down at a table or when you're having a conversation with someone, if that buzzer goes off, unless it's a 911, like you don't look at it, you don't pick it up. There's a time and a place to be on that device. I feel just about 90% of the individuals, if you ask them in 10 years, would regret the amount of time that they actually spent on their phone. Because while it's easy and it feeds that dopamine in a real quick, easy response, it's as quick as it comes on, it goes away. You're not establishing valuable, lasting relationships, and in the long term, that's really the humans are the currency of life. These relationships are the currency of life, and that's what's going to bring us joy long term. It's not the money in the bank, right? That's what we're taught now as what brings value is what is your bank account? What do you have? What's your stuff? Where have you been? Real joy and real happiness is going to come from the value and quality of these relationships. And so that's what we're going to help them to establish.
Well, this has been fantastic. Before we wrap up, Lauren, if you have another question in relation to your experience, and then at the end, we'll throw it back to you to say some final words on the programs and whatever you feel like we've missed. But Lauren, did you have any other questions?
Meagan, what you just said about relationships being the currency, I love that, because I know with my sister, for example, doesn't matter where we are as long as we're together. And I always say this to my family because I have food allergies. When we go out to eat, like, I really don't care about the food. It's not about the food. It's about talking to y'all, catching up on life, be it family or friends, whatever it is. It's not about where we're at necessarily. It's having that connection. It's cool if we can go see live music on the square or go do a craft class at DeSoto Arts Council or something, but it's about that time with that person. And I really like the way that you phrased that. Needs to be said more.
So one of the things that we hope to instill amongst these children is, what is the best use of their time? Their time is the most valuable thing they will ever own. You can't make any more of it. It's never coming back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So every moment counts. Making sure that they're just making wise decisions, wise use of their time, and understanding the value of that. The value of their time and how they're spending it. Are you forwarding your life? Are you building a better, stronger future, or are you being distracted? And a lot of it is sin and evil and not godly. So we plan to keep God first in all of our communications throughout this whole program. Not apologizing for it. He's been driving this bus for 18 years. He's been at the forefront of every one of our businesses. So just very thankful for the opportunities that God has brought in our paths. This was not something that I set out to do. He and I fought over this for a while, and he won. So here we are. But it's going to be so much fun. I've thought so long, my brain is very analytical. And so I've thought all about the analytics and the how-tos. And, my husband and I have built several businesses. And it wasn't until I just recently got out at a community event, and I had so much fun talking to these kids and teaching them and their parents just on a very, fundamental level. We went to the Children's Health Fair on the square. And we had these little activities, it was one of them was a compliment circle. And I thought that'd be pretty easy, like kids say something nice to mom and mom say something nice to kid. That was so challenging for people. And it really took me back. And I'm like, okay, guys, like it's not enough to expect the kids to do it. Like we as parents, we are the leaders. We are the examples. So parents, get ready. Your kids have some stuff for you to do. So.
I am not a good example when it comes to cell phone usage. I'm so guilty of all that. And everyone is, all the adults are, right?
We all have our strengths. So yeah, I think we all have our strengths, So sometimes like I said, it's easy to get caught up because we live in this world that is so fast paced and so demanding, and especially here in the States, and inflation, right? Like we've got all of these obligations and things that we have to do in order to keep up with the world and the Joneses, and understanding when is it appropriate to take that time to pause and become rerouted in the true value and what is important in our day to day. That's what we're going to hope to restore, because we can all improve. Like Macy said, we all have our downfalls. We can all get caught up in the humdrum and the to-do list, and learning to create these new habits takes 30 days to make or break a habit. So
yeah, Macy, before we wrap up here, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking, because we get, especially being out in the community for this, I hear constant feedback and constant questions. And so one common question that we get asked, that I'll just bring up, so if anybody asks and wants to know more, we get asked a lot, is Cotillion a new thing? Which we kind of already discussed a little bit, that, and then also, is Cotillion, is this meant for, like, are we going to have something, or are we eventually going to open up something for high schoolers? Because a lot of parents believe that high schoolers really, really need this just as much as middle schoolers. So Meagan, if you want to talk on that just for a quick second, because we've been really excited about this new concept about it all.
So Cotillion has actually been around since the 1800s. It started off in France as a formal event, again, designed to help the youth, learn how to associate and function in, a formal setting. So since it came over to the States, it has kind of morphed into this middle schooler, etiquette type educational program. So I've been a part of Cotillions in the past. We've had many different Cotillions in DeSoto specifically over the last several years. And there's another program here too. So it's a different program, different times, different focus. Different people run businesses differently. So I'm very thankful that our children have multiple opportunities to learn from different individuals, because different programs are going to have different emphasis. we are, what I saw was a need for a sustainable model. My husband, like I said, my background is healthcare and business, and I just didn't see that. I want to see a sustainable model, something that is going to support our community, support our local businesses, stick around for generations to come. No personal accolades. I just want to see this program we have such a need for it. And these children, I haven't found anybody else that's really bringing what we are bringing to our youth. And I want to see it survive long term. So that's kind of was our focus and our why.
I know I'm learning about it for the first time, so that means there's plenty others, right?
Oh,
And
every day I get asked questions. So like, what is that? I'm like, trust me, I'm still learning even a year after into this. So yeah.
I didn't know cotillion was a word. Okay. So that's where I'm at with this.
It's a weird one. It's a weird one for sure.
But now you know, and you're better for it. So
there it is. And hopefully all of our listeners and viewers learn too. So on the way out here, again, it is cotillionSocial.com. And can they access that website to see the classes coming up in later this month in November?
Yes, and early bird they end this upcoming weekend. So definitely get your tickets now before they go up.
Yes. Go get those tickets. That website is in the description. So please patronize and go sign up and support this great cause here. I learned
our scholarship applicants. So
there you go.
Make sure to support kiddos that have written their little articles to apply for scholarship. So please go and support them and vote for them. So
that's cute. That's awesome. So, great. Again, thanks Meagan and Macy for joining us today. And Lauren, thank you. Great job, Lauren. First interview. Good job.
Oh, you did a great
Very
job.
Nervous. But you guys are so sweet, and obviously you know good etiquette and
that's right.
and how to speak and conduct yourself. So it's awesome. It makes it a lot easier.
I cannot wait to stare at more foreheads when networking now.
Right here.
It's like
tell us about it.
Yeah, and you tell them where you learned about it.
That's right. I will. It's like you cracked a code for me.
There you go.
All right. Well, again, thanks for joining us, and thank you to our audience for engaging with this podcast as a whole in this particular episode as well. Again, go to therealhernando.com. You can find our links for Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. A heartfelt thank you again to all of our sponsors. Click that sponsor tab and go patronize those logos. Click those logos and get more information on our local businesses. And again, to those watching and listening, thank you and have a great day.